Hi, I'm Michelle Rupp, host of AFMC TV. Thank you for joining us. AFMC TV is a place to consider as a healthcare hub. AFMC is a healthcare nonprofit. We specialize in making our lives, businesses, and communities healthy. This space was created to share information with the community. You'll hear from healthcare experts on a broad range of topics. Medical topics like immunizations and telehealth, to lifestyle topics like strengthening a routine or keeping your family hydrated. Our promise to you is to keep you informed in a digital way, providing useful information to you and your family. Again, thank you for joining us and welcome to AFMC TV. About the vaccine. In the next hour,
very hard to thing. That this video will provide ideas and also make sure
Hello and welcome into this week's edition of AFMC TV. We're glad you're joining us. We want to jump right in with our friend of the show, Dietitian Jj Mayo. Hi JJ, how are you today?
Great, Michelle. Yourself? I'm excited to be here.
Doing well, thank you. You know, Thanksgiving, it is right around the corner. Our brains may already be there. We're planning menus, we're looking at travel, we're getting ready. JJ, how do we not lose our minds when it comes to eating at Thanksgiving? Because some will have Thanksgiving not just on Thursday, but also on Friday and maybe on Saturday. And help us.
Yes, exactly. And, with all these holidays, but especially Thanksgiving, it's a time we get together. And I think it's about having the right focus, because really the focus during these holidays should be around family, right? But as you said, most of the time we focus on the food. So the first thing I would say to your audience is that, hey, the first thing we need to do is focus on the family and not so much the food, but food's going to definitely come into play. And so realize that that's the reason it's called Thanksgiving Day, right? It's one day. So if you allow yourself to maybe indulge a little bit on one day, it's not going to set you back. It's not going to set your health back. But like you said, a lot of times we don't do that, do we? We make it, we start on like Wednesday, and then it's Thursday, and then it's Sunday, and you're still overeating into the next week. So I think the thing is to first realize that it should be about family, but also if you just focus to that one day, and I realize people are going to be traveling with other, family members and things and going to different events. But if you really focus on enjoying it that one day, I don't think you're going to go wrong.
What about those who will have Thanksgiving because of family situations? They've got Thanksgiving at lunch and then they turn right around a couple hours later and have Thanksgiving at dinner. How do you manage being able to participate with both sides of the family or the groups that you're with, but not feel like a pumpkin yourself when you go to lay down for bed that night?
Yeah, exactly. So I think planning is key. One of the things you can do, there's several common tips that I always provide people. One is you're going to these meals, limit your alcohol. If you're going to have alcohol on Thanksgiving Day, maybe kind of cut back on the next couple of meals that you have with other family members. Alcohol is a big one. And then, you can have maybe a small snack before you go to these big gatherings, so that and make those snacks healthy, so that by the time you get there, maybe you won't eat as much. That's kind of the goal with that. And then also what you could do is, if you know there's going to be a bunch of unhealthy food there, is make a entree yourself, your favorite Thanksgiving kind of entree, and take it with you. And so that way, you've got something there that you can eat and feel good about, and not just be smothered in gravy and biscuits and and all the good things, which you can have some of those. You just can't overdo it. What I see a lot of times is that people have excuses and stories of why they have to overeat. They do, like they say, oh, it only comes around one time a year, so I've got to really indulge. It's like a lot of times we go to buffets and people will say, I paid this much money, so I got to get my money's worth. Hey, the food's going to be there. Again, focus on the family and try to cut back a little bit on the food. It goes a long way.
Let's also talk about travel, not only for the Thanksgiving holiday, but even with the upcoming Christmas holidays. What are some snacks or some tips that we can take with us as we are doing the airport shuffle?
Yeah. So whether you're flying on a plane, whether you're driving in a car, again, planning is going to be key. If you don't want to have to stop on your long drive at McDonald's, then I would suggest bringing a cooler with some. You could even bring some sandwiches or bring some things that are more healthy than potentially the McDonald's fries and drinks. You can bring the snacks like, if you wanted to do like some nuts are always good. Maybe some vegetables or even dried fruit might work because they're really portable, and you can do that on your plane ride. You can stick them in your bag and carry-ons, or you can just have them in the cooler in the car.
That's good advice. Okay, let's talk about the importance of exercise after you eat that big meal, not just going and laying on the couch and, falling off into a turkey-induced coma.
Yeah, that tryptophan will get you after that big turkey meal. And, exercise is going to be important because you probably will, let's admit it, be eating more calories than maybe what you typically would on a regular Thursday. But, that exercise is going to help you burn off those calories. But what I would suggest is make it, like I said, all about the family. So take your spouse, your family out for a walk around, even if it's around the neighborhood, or take them, there's all kinds of like turkey trots around in different cities that you could get the family and make it a family event to kind of offset maybe some of the food that you're consuming in and around Thanksgiving. So that's a couple of things that I would suggest. Is exercise is always good. And hey, let's be honest, we got a few family members sometimes at gatherings we're like, I just need to get out of the house for a little bit. So getting out of the house for exercise is going to be a stress relief in more than one way.
That's good. That's good advice. Anything else we need to know to prepare us going into this holiday season?
No, I think that's it. I think if you plan well and you eat in moderation and realize that it really is just one day, and it should be about family and conversations and spending time together, and not necessarily centered everything around the food that you're eating.
Okay. JJ, thanks as always.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Appreciate it.
Ken Clark from Chenal Family Therapy joins us now. Hi, Ken. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? Happy holidays, sort of. We're getting there.
Thanksgiving is right around the corner. Yes, we are there. And so, Ken, how do we keep the peace at the Thanksgiving table this year?
What are you talking about? There's nothing to argue about. Nobody's going to be upset about politics or masks or anything else, right?
We probably have more issues going into this Thanksgiving than we ever have in 2,000 years.
Right. It's on the year where we should be talking about football in Arkansas, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's it's a deliberate choice. What I would tell people out of this is a failure to plan is planning to fail, right? That you need to go into the holidays with a game plan, and part of that game plan is a decision to not engage in some of these topics. Yeah. We have to remember that probably 60 to 70% of what humans argue about, whether it's within marriages or families, or about where to park the car at Walmart, are their foundational differences that people never, ever actually agree on, right? That these arguments, whether they're big things or small things, very rarely result in somebody doing the face palm and saying, you're right, I've totally changed my opinion. So knowing that, right, we should decide to walk into the holidays not engaging in something that doesn't have a great outcome anyway. Mm-hmm. And that means that there's probably certain topics that we need to decide in advance that we are not going to take the bait on. Right. No matter how much mom, dad, kids, aunt, uncle's opinion is absurd and different than ours, it goes nowhere, right? So that's number one. Number two, we know that around a lot of this highly contentious stuff that's swirling around in our atmosphere right now and our relationships, that there is a sense of rejection that both sides are experiencing, right? That both sides feel like, to whatever the issue is, look at the other side and think, you think I'm stupid. You think I have been deceived and all this kind of stuff. And so we know that if we go into the holidays also being deliberate about making sure that the people in our lives know that they're liked, not just loved, but they're enjoyed, then that helps them to kind of counteract that sense of rejection and lower that anticipation of a fight. in general, people don't want to screw up things that are going well. So if you can contribute to it going well and people feeling connected right out of the gate, then we're going to be in good shape. And last but not least, I would tell you, just from discretion is the better part of valor type mindset. Man, I would take a social media fast or break for a couple of days before you walk in there. The last thing you need to be doing is while you're sitting in the car and somebody's putting on makeup is reading through your Facebook post, getting fired up, waiting to walk in the house and take that out on a family member. So, de-escalate yourself. Do a little bit of a hiatus from all the stuff that gets us so frothed up. So those are my big 3 tips out of the gate.
And those hiatuses, man, you could do those any time of the year. Just give yourself a break from it. I want to ask.
Waiting for you, right?
Yes. I want to ask you. Okay, so we've done our due diligence, right? It's a grateful, thankful season. We're practicing gratitude. We've got our right mindset. We're going to go in. We're going to be kind. We're not going to take the bait. But you've got other family members who are coming to the table who maybe aren't practicing gratitude, and they are locked and loaded and cannot wait to pounce. So what are a few ways to either de-escalate the situation, not engage, but yet still staying respectful to, you're in your grandma's house, for crying out loud, or you're in your parents' house, rather than just pushing back from the table and jumping up and walking out of the room. I mean, there is still a level of respect you need to show in the home.
Yeah. And respect doesn't mean that we ever need to sit there and take abuse or mistreatment, right?
That's right.
But we need to, again, work to kind of unentangle the fact that a difference in opinion isn't necessarily abuse just because somebody gets excited about it. So a couple things, probably 3 tips there. One, it's very okay to draw a boundary, and it's actually a loving thing to draw a boundary, to say to somebody, hey, I really want to have a great Thanksgiving with you. I really enjoy you. Let's not do this one over pumpkin pie, right? Like this is, let's not waste the moment. And that's an act of love, and it can be communicated as that. So we can draw boundaries, but in a kind way. If somebody won't observe a boundary, I'm a big fan of leaving an ingredient in the trunk of your car. So this is my tip for everybody, right? Leave something in your car that if you need to go get it, you got an excuse, right? Forget something at the store, but it's really in your trunk. Find a way to have a momentary exit, right? Take a phone call, do something, but excuse yourself and gather your thoughts and let the conversation change focus, and then re-engage. So find your way, know what your exit plan is if you need a 5-minute or a 25-minute timeout, right? So I think that's a big piece of it. And then third, just change the subject by asking the bait caster, the person that's trying to reel you in, ask them about something in their life. We're all inherently kind of needy, selfish creatures, right? As Dale Carnegie says, there's nothing greater, no sweeter sound than the sound of our name on somebody else's lips, right? Like, so Uncle whoever is trying to tell you about whatever he read on social media. Look at him and say, hey, so how's it going with that car you're fixing? Or what are you guys doing in the new year? Like, change the subject and make it about them and show genuine interest. And a lot of people find that engaging and flattering and not rejecting, and they'll take that bait, which is a lot healthier, and you can distract the conversation by putting proper attention on them.
I do want to ask, because sometimes for many, holiday season is a great time of year. You look forward to it every year, going to grandma's house. But there are just as many people who the holiday season, this is not particularly an enjoyable time of the year. And so what do you say to those who may be looking at the calendar going, man, we're about to embark in the dark time, if you will, that time between Thanksgiving and just surviving until the new year? How do you speak? What do you speak to those? How do we speak to those individuals?
So one, it's a lot of people, and it's a lot of people that didn't expect it this year or last year, right? Like that our lives change, and we don't always have to have had dark holiday seasons to have one this year. It could be the year that you lost somebody. There's a lot of loss floating around right now. So one, don't be surprised if it catches you off guard. Number two, my biggest tip is we're all trying to use up our flexible spending accounts or those things anyway. This is a great time to start therapy, right? That proactively going in and just having somebody who's available to process with. You don't even have to be working specific issues, but just having that regular check-in during this heightened season. It's a great time to start mental health, and most of us have some health plan dollars that we need to use up, or we've already hit our out-of-pocket maxes or things like that. Third, don't try it and go it alone, right? That one of the great human moments is when we realize other people are struggling with the same things that we are, right? And oftentimes leadership just means going first and saying, hey, is anybody else having a heck of a time surviving this year? Try it on your Facebook. You'll watch 50 people, raise their hand and say, oh my gosh, I'm struggling. My kids are struggling, So don't try and go it alone. Talk with your friends and family. And then be the person who asks, right? There's that great line about ask how your strong friends are doing. It's some of us that are carrying the most and have the least option of crumbling that also are pushing this stuff down the hardest. And so ask the person who always seems to be strong how they're doing as well. And my big advice there is ask comparative questions. Just like any of us as parents who ask our middle schooler, how was school? And they just look at us and say, fine. And that's not much of a usable answer. Don't ask somebody, how are you doing, or are you doing okay? Ask them a comparative question. Ask them, hey, what's the best part of the holiday season for you? What's the worst part? Where are you doing the best and where are you struggling? And when we ask questions like that, we often get a lot more unfurling of what's going on inside somebody. So don't go it alone. Go get some therapy and wear it on your sleeve. We're all struggling some. The only question is how much.
That's right. All right, Ken, great advice as always. Thank you so much for joining us today, and happy Thanksgiving.
You too. It's always great being here. Thanks for all the great work you're doing.
Thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you back here next week for more AFMC TV.